I think once you get past a certain age, Easter becomes a lackluster holiday if you're not religious or a loving parent. It has such an odd history behind it as well. It was originally supposed to be a holy day commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ, along with the Last Supper and crucifixion, and I get it, you want to show your support and appreciation and thanks to holy figures and important figures for your religion, but then somehow they threw in a rabbit into the mix? To be fair, it's not the Christians' fault that a rabbit is associated with resurrection. It's from German folklore in a way. The Easter hare served as a being akin to Santa Claus or the Krampus, as he gave out colored eggs, candy, and sometimes toys to good and obedient children the night before. But unlike the Krampus, the hare doesn't capture naughty children or kill them. So there is that. And just like old Xmas, businesses and marketers found a way to streamline this humble folklore tradition into the mass-produced cheap plastic shell people once considered an egg. I feel like that was a weird metaphor, but whatever, you get what I mean. And through all this mass production, you get lots of media celebrating the icon of an Easter bunny, as opposed to an Easter hare, because bunnies are more cute, which is what they were going for in 2011's Hop. Now, when the trailers first came out for this film, it seemed okay. You know, the son of the current Easter hare, rabbit, bunny, whatever, decides to run away from home and become a drummer. It seems like a stretch, but it's not as much as a stretch as the idea of a human Easter bunny, and I don't mean the sad folk that end up getting shoved into a cheap rabbit costume that ends up scaring away children half of the time.
I'm Fred O'Hare, the first human Easter bunny.
Seems like the perfect Easter film, right? Something to put along the Peter Cottontails and all that. Hop is made by the same company that created Secret Life of Pets, Despicable Me, and Sing, that company being Illumination Entertainment. Yeah, the Minion guys. They're not bad, but sometimes it's hard to differentiate between them, DreamWorks, Blue Sky, and every other studio that isn't Pixar. But what makes Hop different from the rest of its catalog is how it incorporates 3D animation into film, like how Who Framed Roger Rabbit did with 2D animation. So you have real-life actors in real-life scenes interacting with a CG cast of characters, but there are also a couple of scenes of 3D CGI. Although it's not done terribly well, you can actually kind of notice when they use real-life sets and just sort of composited CGI characters onto them. As much as I hate the movie, Alvin and the Chipmunks did a much better job at this, and that actually came out 4 years before Hop did. But that's for a completely different video. All in all, Hop isn't that much of a winner when it comes to story. It's basically just an amalgamation of Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Santa Claus mixed with Easter. If that doesn't sound like a terrible concept already, well, keep watching. It's gonna get worse from here. So I mentioned that the current Easter Bunny's son, E.B., and yes, that is his real name in the movie, wants to abandon his family tradition to become his own rebellious and hip self, while our human protagonist, Fred O'Hare, seriously, has a hidden dream or realization to become the new Easter Bunny. See, he saw them as a kid, and it just totally rocked his world, completely. And the film tries to parallel between the two by giving them fathers that want their kids to be successful and not become a disappointment to their family name. Where have you heard this before? But honestly, with the way this film was written, they probably should have gotten rid of the parallel and put more emphasis on EB. I mean, it would make it more furry, but we'll focus on that later. Like, that is what all the advertising for this film focused on, for the most part. Because what better way to get butts into theaters than cute furry animals? I guess sex could work too, maybe, but cute animals mixed with sex? Now that seems a bit too niche in my opinion, just like fruitcake. There's a couple of directions that this film tries to go in, but it all comes across as convoluted. There's a part where Fred tries to get a job at a video game company, but that fails, and the movie never mentions it again. Evie joins an American's Got Talent style competition, but then abandons that because he somehow fooled the Easter Bunny's own personal battalion, the Pink Beret, and framed Fred on his own murder with a cooked turkey. Are you that stupid? Speaking of Fred, He's a bit of a, just a tiny bit of a complete a-hole as a character. I don't know what happened to him in his past character development that we didn't see that turned him into such a self-absorbed human being trying way too hard to get people to like him. But that's how he is.
Oh, are you writing a novel? What's that about?
It's about a crippled soldier who in the future goes to another planet and he becomes one of the indigenous people who are blue and live in the forest.
That's not Avatar?
Not really.
This film throws in pop culture references as humor, and lots of it. Like how they throw in Rock Band here. Remember when that was super popular? See, this film does, along with every other trashy film from the early 2010s. And I'm fine with referential humor if it's done occasionally, kind of like in my videos. And here, it's almost every other joke. And when it's not pumping out pop culture references, it has a hare pooping jelly beans onto the hood of a car, or a cameo of Russell Brand meeting the character that Russell Brand is currently voice acting for. You remember that little scene in Teen Titans Go where Raven is watching their in-universe version of My Little Pony, and the whole thing is this meta joke that Tara Strong voices a character in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and also plays Raven, and for some reason the kids are supposed to get that? What I'm saying is that this film is not very funny. Outside of the humans and Lapine characters, you have the enslaved worker chicks working it up in the factory labor jobs for the Easter Bunny, and one of them turns out to be our antagonist, Carlos. Now, usually you have two routes when dealing with a marginalized antagonist. You go with redemption or exile. Now, shows like Friendship is Magic usually goes for redemption, because, well, duh, friendship. And while sometimes it feels forced or overly sympathetic to the current villain, I think Hop should have had some type of redemption for Carlos the Hispanic poultry.
It's so depressing. You should clear this out. Make a new den or a clubhouse. Oh, like a man cave. Oh, it'll be fun.
You have the second in command who just wants some changes to his environment. Maybe a little bit less speciesism and nepotism. But then he goes mad with power and then he's sent back to square one. It's a little messed up. So the film's pretty bad, but how furry is it? We do have a species-centric plot, somewhat. While it is centered around a loose interpretation of the original folklore down to making it way more like Christmas than it probably needs to, it is ultimately a film about a rabbit wanting to be his own rabbit self, rather than the one his rabbit father wants him to be. But drop the Easter angle, and you have a tired and regurgitated family film about a teen who wants to go his own way but ends up learning how valuable it is to stay close to your loving family while making your own nest in your own tree. I'm not saying you can't retell a story like this and make a tired concept good, but Hop makes a tired concept even more tired than it already is. This movie also has trouble figuring out if people are okay or aren't okay with actual walking and talking animals appearing in the real world. There are plenty of points in this film where regular real-life humans just don't give a rat's ass, while others completely freak out. It's done in such a wishy-washy way that I question why it's even a thing in the film. You might as well just have made them all furries. I'm just saying. Going back to Carlos prepubescent chicken Mencia, I still don't know why they made him Hispanic. Is it because foreign accents are funny to kids? Is that not completely racist? The topic of speciesism, or at least a difference in species altogether, is a common trait in these sorts of movies, but I'm also wondering why this wasn't the focus of the film. Consider this: the life of a lowly worker in the Easter egg factory, which just so happens to be on Easter Island. You put all the hard work into making these products designed after your own offspring and sex cells, plus an import of overly sugary products and sometimes cheap plastic toys. While your rabbit supervisor, does nothing but supervise and gets all the glory. Your blood boils, and you question your role in life. A coup d'etat is clearly in order. Wouldn't that make this a way more interesting film? But no, we're given this human bullcrap with a hare that runs away from home to pursue his dreams, only to come back and fulfill his destiny all along with his new human friend. They become co-Easter bunnies. seriously, Hop gets a 1.5 out of 5 on the entertainment scale, and a disappointing 1.5 out of 5 on the furriness scale. I'm not sure if this is going to be the worst movie I'll be analyzing on this series, but unfortunately it is the worst so far. This has been Gregor, Why Is It Always Kids Films, Reindeer, with How Furry Is It?
Stick around for more anthropomorphic analysis and antler antics. Special thanks to my friend Autumn Hart. She did the character art for Gregor, so go ahead and check out her YouTube channel. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you're intrigued by this series, and I'll see you around in the next episode. Peace.